Alright, a quick little soldering tutorial. A lot of people are trying to learn how to do railings or have done them and trying to answer questions, and maybe it's just easier to show this. So I've pre-cut a whole bunch of parts and set up a jig. Drilled 3 holes here for just a simple rail. Soldering flux, 60-40 electrical solder. Just a 30-watt soldering pen. I have a temperature controlled soldering iron, but not everybody does. So pre-cut some 16th inch stanchions, and we're just gonna quickly clean these up. I think that side, that's got a little flare on it from the cut, and we'll pop those into the jig. Yeah, so get the end of those all cleaned up, and probably I want to put a little flux on that, so we'll get that started. I've been using this flux for probably 20 years. And it's just some Kester self-cleaning soldering paste. It says formula SP-50. So a little bit of flux on each of those. Clean up the top rail. Just put a little shine on each of those. Take the tarnish off, and see where you want to put that flux. Got a old X-Acto knife. We'll just place some flux on there. So this thing's abused, used. I don't really use it anymore, but I thought I'd drag this soldering pen out for this tutorial. So I'm just going to put a little bit of solder on there. This has been heating for a while, so there's a quick solder. Not too much, and we're just going to touch it. That's going to flow into that. And that's still hot. Done. I got to line up the left side. Boom. Now that's in place. Now, if you wanted to reposition that, you just touch the pen, come right off of there. So another way to do this is, you could tape the railing, in place. And so you've got a few points that are held in place. We heat that back up. That's done. Don't have to put a lot of time into that. So just touch a solder, hold that in place, touch it to there. Oh, that's not flowing good. I may not have enough solder. Maybe out of position a little bit. There we go. So if you don't see that solder getting in there, you either don't have enough, or solder will flow to the heat. So it's not soldered yet. So you want to put the heat like on the lower part of that stanchion, and it'll flow across from the top to the bottom, or from the bottom to the top, and it'll fill that gap. That might need a little more flux. Always good to have a few problems here so people can see what has to be done. So there's a little bit more flux. You can see it bubble in there. Clean that up. There we go. Look at how fast that went. Boom. That one's done. Oh, I moved it. There we go. Done. Did I move again? No, that's this side moving. So a little more solder. The bar's actually getting a little hot. Touch it. We've already fluxed that. Ow. Done. So that's all you need to do. Don't need a lot of solder. That saves you a little bit of cleanup. And then if you got a sponge or something, you wipe that off with a wet sponge. But again, that's the cheap soldering iron. Here's a block. We're going to put in a midpoint rail. So to get those all the same, I'd place a block in there. See if that's the right piece. If that's a short one. That looks like a short one. I pre-cut these, and maybe it's too... that's alright. So clean that up a little bit. dip that in the flux, both ends. And I probably could have done a little bit of sanding down here. These are going to attach. Oh, I don't need to do that side. Alright, let's see. That looks like the direction I want to be. Hope so. Otherwise the railing's going to look a little funny. So we put a little flux on there, wipe it back for us across the ends. Now you can tin your bar, that's going to get hot. So just a little bit of tinning. Yeah, that's hot. I'm going to set that aside because that's hot to the touch. Ouch. Alright, we'll put that in place. Alright, so now that's going to make the bar level with the deck. Get a little more solder here. Make sure that I got that where I want it. Flat on there. We're going to come in this side. Got kind of a bad angle. Boom, that's done. And put a little more solder on there. Come back around this side. Well, I'll do it from the other side so you can watch that flow. That's done. Alright, so now we can pull that bar out. Block out. Place it in the second set and see if this is a small bar. That's a little large for that side. I pre-cut these, but I didn't have everything in place when I cut them. So that one's actually a nice little pressure fit there, but we'll put that out, clean it up. Put a little bit of flux on it. Flux this bar's there. Flux the bar there. Flux the other end. Press this into place. Down on the block. Kind of watch this so they're parallel. We'll get a little bit of solder. Come in from the back side so you can watch that again. Flow, done. A little bit of solder. Don't know if you can see that joint. Touch, flow, done. Block is done. So we'll see if I cut these other bars right. That's a little gappy. If I mixed them up, oh, it's real gappy. So maybe we'll come back the other way. Plenty of gap. Oh gosh. No gap at all. Alright. So I'm going to cut this one down really quick. Do the left side first. Take a file to that. See if we can destroy the backdrop. Just maybe taper that out a little bit. See if we can fit it. See if we just created too big a gap. Flux that. Flux each side. We might have a little gap here, but for demonstration purposes, probably going to be fine. Alright. a little bit of solder. Set your alignment. And that's done. And a little bit of solder. That's done. So, yeah, I'm making a mess. Alright, I'm going to cut another bar really quick because I think this one's really gappy because it was for the small side. We're just going to mark that. Maybe we can roll it. See that mark? Bend and break that. Not bad. I'll clean it up a little bit. The flux actually does this, but it's good to have a habit, so I should show it. Get a little extra flux on here. Come in, flux that bar, flux that bar. We'll get that in place. Very good. Alright, we're going to do this right side. No, we're not. We're going to get some solder. We're going to get that bar in place. We're going to touch that little ball of solder onto the back side. Watch that flow. That's done. Maybe reposition it a little bit. Yeah. Okay. A little bit of solder. Put a little torque on that. Touch that in there. Ouch. Bar's hot. And it moved. So let's do this. There we go. Saw that other bar move. And that'll happen. But it's pretty close, but good enough to show. I mean, you can come in and reset that bar if you want, but that's how you do a 3 rail. And you could do that. You could pre-bend this to go around a corner, or pre-bend that, and so it'll come down into the deck. And you could have another hole drilled there to set it if you wanted. So maybe not straight, but this is more to show how quickly and how much solder you really need to do this. You don't have to pile the solder in there by, coming in there and like, just feed that in there. Just a little bit on the tip. And you see I'm using the oldest, cruddiest soldering iron I have, 30 watts. And you could do railings. Have fun.